Hello and welcome back to my channel. It feels like it's been an absolute age. I have changed what I wanted to talk to you about today because I'm so hellishly busy that I haven't finished the project I started filming for you for this week. So instead, I'm going to talk about my knitting and vintage knitting books I've got and ideas, you know, where my projects are at, because I know the knitting is always popular and I did have a request to share the updates on the knitting and majority of us who sew love to knit too, so I thought you might like a little update on that. Now, truth be told, in my knitting bag I've got a black 1940s jumper that I started quite a few months ago, but I put that to one side, sort of picked that up again probably end of summer into the autumn, so that I can wear that in the autumn. A maroon cardigan, I think, and a pink cardigan. They've kind of all been parked to one side, and I've been working on, this is from Stitch in Time Volume 2, and I'll pop a picture up of what the pattern looks like. And I know I promised someone that I would help them out with it, and I've still not done that, and I must do that. But this is the Golden Eagle ladies jumper. If I just hold up so you can see, this is the front piece, not been blocked yet, and the it's on a stitch holder because obviously I have to pick up to do the neckband once the shoulders have been sewn together. And I've done one of the sleeves, so here is a sleeve to match. I've started on the little bows. Where's the middle bit? I think I've lost it. It will be somewhere in my world, but I've started on the bows and then they have a knit bit in there, so all the bows will be placed in the centre, you know, corresponding colours, just to give an extra little bit of jazziness. And then, oh gosh, I thought I'd knocked the stitches off the needle. And I've started on the back, so I've got the back to do and the other sleeve. So yeah, I'm getting there. I'm kind of slowly, because I move in between things. And then I needed some more black wool for my Golden Eagle ladies jumper. So to make my wool delivery free, you know, to spend the £25 I needed at Wool Warehouse to get a free delivery, because I'm always looking to save if I can, I thought, well, I'm going to pop some more wool in, because I really love the no longer available from Untangled Knots, but the Anouk cardigan, which I have modified. Oh god, I'm just dropping everything on the floor. I've got so much around. If you could see the mess in front of me of other things I've got to do and whatever. So I've stopped to film this in between my working day, just to have a chat with you. So I'm thinking, yeah, this was the first Anouk I knitted, and it's in, oh gosh, I'll have to put it down below. It's drops yarn and it's an alpaca mix, but I cannot remember for the life of me which one it is, but it's delicious. The only problem is it pills, as I think I talked about with alpaca yarn before, because it's got a completely different, I don't know what you'd call it, but apparently, according to Alpaca Lady when we went on the alpaca walk, alpaca fibres are straight and wool go out like a Christmas tree, therefore they all cling together, but when they're straight they would they're soft and they pill. But anyway, so this is my lovely, it's almost lilac-y, but it's an ice creamy pink. So this is the first one I knitted, and I decided to do double rib for the bands and the neckband rather than the garter stitch, and I left out the garter stitch sort of diamond pattern all over it. So this is my first one, which came up, I love it, but it came up quite short. So the next one I lengthened slightly in this lovely stone colour. Someone in one of my new beginner sewing classes, she's such a lovely lady, but she said, oh, I love the cardigan you wore last week that was beige. Honestly, I mean, I didn't say anything to her. I said it's a stone colour, sort of a creamy stone colour. The thought, heaven forbid, that I would ever wear beige. I felt horrified as she just said it. I mean, how daft is that? But, you know, please don't put me down as a wearer of beige. Enough said. Well, back to this. I made this one a deeper band. If you compare it to the pink, let's just hold them up. You can see it's just a longer band, so it comes in deeper. But I wear wear these all the time. They're just beautiful V-neck cardigans, and I love them. So I just thought, well, I need another one. I'll probably be knitting more and more because they're on 5mm needles. They're so quick to knit and they're just lovely to wear. The V-neck, it goes with everything. So I thought I'd do a black one. So I've got a black one here. It's all knitted up. Should I take her off? Foxy Lady. Then I can show you. I've knitted up all of the body and we've got the sleeves. You see the blue yarn here. So I've got to pick up the stitches from the sleeves and then do the sleeves and then give it a steam block. I prefer the vintage method. As Linda on Knitting for Victory, Linda is absolutely marvellous. She has a suggestion on her, you know, like the tips on her Instagram feed, so I'll link that below as well, about how to steam block, you know, and she asks how many people do that. I prefer that to wet blocking. I'm just too impatient, so I steam block my knitwear, and on Linda's Instagram feed it shows you how to do that. I'll try and find the exact bit to put here so you'll know which picture you're looking for. That'd be handy. So I will scroll back through for you. Anyway, so I've got to pick up the sleeves, knit those, and then buttons. I mean, it's probably going to be a bit warm for the coming season, but all right for evenings. Probably if I've got a chilly evening, but I know I'm going to love wearing this one, and they're just so enjoyable to knit. Now, talking of Linda, this is a nice segue, isn't it, into talking about Linda. I have started on my first project from her marvellous book, this one here, and I'm going to have to look at the cover again, Timeless Tyrolean Knitwear, which I talked about with you on here before, so I won't go through all of the images. Now, I love the colour mix, the embroidery of the Tyrolean knitwear, but I actually find really hard to commit to doing a mixed colour knit, as I wear quite bold prints in the main with my clothes, so I prefer the plain colour cardigans and jumpers that go with everything. I think I will do a mixed colour knit soon, but at the minute I just keep knitting the same ones. Let's back up a bit before I show you the pattern I'm knitting from Linda's book. For a long time I've had in my head I wanted a blue cardigan. I've got various blue cardigans, but I wanted this particular blue, and for me I think of it as being like a vintage china blue. I don't know where I've got that in my head. When we went to Wyndham recently and had a look around everywhere, and I found a lovely fabric yarn shop, and they had the exact shade I've been looking for in this Sirdar Country Classic. It's a double knit, and it's the exact blue I've been looking for probably a couple of years. So I got some. I need to go back and get some more. I didn't know how many I'd need because I didn't know what project I was going to commit to with this glorious blue. So I then looked through all my knitting books to find what I wanted to work on in this said blue. And looking through Linda's book, I settled on this one here. This is called, it's Cosy for Cold Days Cardigan, and it's inspired by this one in Stitchcraft here. And I don't know if you can see here how the ribbing comes up stepped at the waistband, yeah, and it's a round neck, round collared cardigan. I wonder if there's another picture. I'm just flicking over. There's a lovely one here of the lady. I don't think it's going to fit me in such a loose manner. I think I'll be using the full stretch. I think this is for, it does say on here, it's for a 36 to 38 inch bust, so I'm fine with the sizing, but I think, yeah, it might be stretched out a little bit. So that pattern has square sort of bobbles knitted over it. The embroidery goes in. But I don't know why it sort of creeped me out a bit, having sort of bobbles. I know it seems quite silly, but it felt almost like, you know, skin tags or something. I know it's really silly. It's just I've got all sorts of odd sort of sensory issue things. So maybe not issues, just the way I'm made. When we were eating last night, I had to put my fingers in my ears because Jason made a noise and that just put me off. And even though they all know what I'm like, sometimes it does their heads in. That is another aside we didn't necessarily need. Anyway, back to the cardigan. I've already started knitting the left front. I'm trying to pull this yarn up so it doesn't interrupt. Can you see how the rib is stepped here to get that lovely waist shaping? So rather than knitting the body and garter stitch and then doing the bobbles to make the squares, I decided to knit mine in stocking stitch, so that I've got a very simple cardigan. And then I'm tempted to do some form of either embroidery or beadwork around the neck. That's what I'm tempted to do, to sort of emulate the beaded cardigans of the 1950s. So I'm really enjoying knitting this up. I started this when I finished Anouk, and I thought I can't be bothered to pick up the sleeves right now. So I want to see what my new wool knits up like. So that's where we're at with this. So I'm not going to start any other projects. I'm going to work between these three and try and be good. That's the plan. Now that's where I'm at with my knitting. I want to show you some knitting books that I've got. Now while we're still talking about Linda's and her knitting book, I wanted to mention a conversation that we were having on Instagram. Recently I watched the amazing Transatlantic on Netflix. I really enjoyed it, so I put about it on my Instagram feed, and some people were watching it, some hadn't heard of it, so I just wanted to flag it up to people. It's sort of done in a sort of Hollywood sort of comedy romp, so you know, a very serious subject about Jewish refugees trying to escape from Marseille in 1940. So not a light-hearted subject in that area, but it's light-hearted in the sense that human life goes on. People still love, they still create their art, you know, they have arguments. So, you know, it's all of this against the backdrop of war. And when I say there's a lightness of touch there, I don't mean that they don't take into account, you know, the human tragedy and those elements. It's marvellously done, based on a true story, and true people, and the artists that feature, you know, the real people. I adored the surrealist dinner party at this chateau. The attention to detail, the nods to Schiaparelli. This lady wears, one of the main characters, the shoe hat with a dress made out of gloves. The costumes are just fabulous, but there's one glaring error, and for a film or a drama that's got it so right, they got it so wrong. Now, there's this one part where Mary Jane walks across the courtyard with a coat over her jumper, so you only get the merest glimpse of this jumper, but I knew exactly which jumper it was, as did Linda when we spoke, because she said, I think she started to twitch, you know, because if you know knitwear history, you know this is pretty much a famous jumper. And she was wearing the 1945 Victory jumper, of which I've got, in one of my latest books, I want to show you a picture here. Yes? And even in this book, it says the classic Victory sweater first appeared in the popular UK magazine Home Notes in June 1945, designed to celebrate the end of World War II. And it's available on the Victorian Albert Museum website. This jumper. It was published in 1945 after being designed. And a lot of us have made this. I've made my own version in red and cream. Somebody wouldn't be wearing that in 1940. So that was a bit of a boo-boo. But we should let them off. But yeah, you can get a bit particular when you know your stuff. So I might as well show you this book. This has just come recently. I love buying pattern cutting books, fashion history books, knitting books, reading books, everything from World of Books. So you're buying secondhand books, and you can often find the ones that you've been looking for a while, you know, at a steal, and it's obviously saving these books going to waste, so it's brilliant. And this one came, I'd never heard of this before. Vintage Design Workshop, and it's absolutely marvellous. It's better than I thought it would be. I just want to show you a couple of things in here before I tell you more about it. The lady who wrote this book lives in Lewes in Sussex, and I used to live in Brighton, visited Lewes all the time, loved going to Lewes. And I recognise this lady who I follow on Instagram, I've chatted to now and again, and she's an absolute hoot and so talented. I love her artwork. Samantha Stas. She's one of the models because she lives down that way, so I guess she's friends with the lady that writes this book. I must give her a name, Geraldine Warner, and this is Samantha Stas. So it was just lovely seeing her there in the book. So what this book does, it's just amazing. It basically, I think I'll go through the contents. It tells you how to use vintage knitting patterns and how to substitute yarns, adjust the vintage sizes all the way through from shoulders, sleeves, arms, patterns for vintage elements, adjusting elements to patterns, how to do the shoulder pads, and something I'd never thought of before, because I really do struggle, trying to find the page, sizing my knitwear. You know, I do my fitting for woven garments and obviously jersey when I'm wearing jersey tops, but in terms of knitwear, struggle. Knitwear is exactly the same as jersey. It's made of the loops that go together, you know. So woven fabric, you know, is a series of threads, you know, they're crisscrossed in the weave. Jersey, I'm sorry I have to do it this way rather than drawings. Jersey are loops that are linked, and therefore we get the stretch, you know, and movement. So jersey fabric, as in knitwear, both have a similar property, and she suggests if you can sew, make a toile out of jersey to help you size your pattern. I mean, it seems so blooming obvious once you see it, but how marvellous, as she talks about that in there. This book is going to be a veritable thrill and source of information. I just absolutely love it. Yeah, patterns for pockets, and oh, do you know, I highly recommend it if you want to work with vintage patterns and size them and know all the tips and tricks. It's just brilliant. So I'll put that down the link. This was the last one in World of Books, but you may be lucky and find it somewhere else. Now, my third book I found in a seaside charity shop, well, it's a vintage emporium, sorry, that I love to go to, called Harboard's. Always go there first if I can. And this one's Knitting Vintage by Claire Montgomery. I absolutely love so many. Rather than doing overheads, I'm just going to show you the pictures that I'm drawn to and projects I want to make. And this goes from the 1920s to the 90s. I don't really want to do the 80s and 90s ones. I don't feel too drawn towards them, having lived through those eras and tried to give my own sort of psychobilly, rockabilly kind of twist, mixed with vintage like Victorian petticoats and whatnot. But I never felt like doing the era that everyone else is living in. I love this cardigan from the 60s, which is a play on the Aran cardigan. I mean, this hot orange. I'm not normally drawn to orange, but this one is marvellous. I love that pattern. So tangerine Aran cardigan. And then I'm coming to my next page. I'm going back to the 1950s. I like this lilac beaded cardigan. The wool looks so glorious, so I really like this one. And then there's a totally different one. It's a thicker one, I think. What's this knitted? 7 and 8 mil needles, so it's very chunky wool. This lovely jumper. I think this is absolutely fabulous. I like wearing my retro jeans that I make, you know, my very 50s style, sort of probably inspired by Marilyn Monroe's ones. And this jumper, so that's definitely going to be made. And I also like in each section, you know, a mood board. So there's a mood board of knitting inspiration. And I love the page before this, how glamorous these ladies look on these pages, can you see? And the last one I really love is a 1920s Breton style nautical jumper. Is this coming into focus? There we go, it's coming into focus. I make this a bit smaller so it's more fitted, but I think this just looks marvellous with the buttons up on the shoulder here. So that's another really, really good book. So the last thing I want to show you before I vamoose is this is from a Rowan pattern, this cardigan. I'd long wanted to make a yellow cardigan, of which I finally did. And this is another drop yarn, I can't remember the yarn. So it's a round neck cardigan. I don't know, can you see? I'm trying to pull it out on the side where the buttons are so you can see the round neck yarn with the buttons. And I've long had this vintage sheet in yellows, and I don't wear white you know, dresses if I can help it. I'm always paranoid about mess. I think all those years of periods, and you just wouldn't go out in a white dress. But I'm always thinking about this fabric and what a marvellous sundress it would make. And, you know, with this yellow cardigan over the top, a black accent, can you see my ring a black accent for it to go with, I'll get this off the floor, my latest treat to myself. Some new memory sandals. They always come in this delightful box. I've long wanted these sandals. I missed out on them last year, so I thought I'm not going to miss out this year. And I take a 42 in shoes, and it's really hard to find a 42, and which is you know, a proper size 8. I think it's called a 9 now. I know growing up, and I have this argument in a shoe shop, we bought a 42 and it was classed as an 8. Now it's classed as a 9. Whatever, I want to wear shoes that fit me, and I adore shoes. I could go mental with memory shoes if I could afford it, because they're just amazing quality and beautiful designs. But show you the shoes, Lisa. I got these black suede peep toe sandals. I can't remember the name, I'll link these too. And they feel like velvet. So let's put the box up on there. I have worn them around the house, so I can safely put the box on the table. When my dad was saying, take the shoes off the table, you know, you don't put new shoes on the table, because it could mean you'll be walking out of somebody's life, I think. Yeah, and you shouldn't give shoes as a present to someone, because I was encouraging them to walk away from you. But if you want to buy me shoes, buy me shoes. I love shoes. But let's think of the look. Sundress, yellow, black shoes. I can just see it in my head. This is where I'm going. And hopefully these shoes will be taking me out on Saturday night if it's warm enough. If not, I'll wear other ones. We're going to a swing dance. So these were the shoes that I will be wearing. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the look at where I'm at with my knitting and some of my ideas at the moment. Before I go, I did want to say to you, I've been really bugged about the glare I get off my glasses, and I see other YouTube videos and people don't have this reflection and problem with it. And I couldn't work out how they avoid it. I was talking about it with a friend the other day, and again, it's not rocket science, but it's taken me blooming ages to work it out. She said you need an anti-glare coating on your glasses, which I always say, oh no, I don't need that when I get my new glasses. So I need to pop my glasses to the optician and say, can you put an anti-glare coating on? And then you'll see my eyes better and we'll all be happier. I did think I could film without my glasses on, but then I can't see the things that I'm looking at to read to show you. I'm a bit stuffed, so that's how we're going to work around that one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's edition. I'm going to go back to filming for my Patreon, which I'm launching on June the 1st. I'm designing the templates, I'm writing loads, I'm thoroughly enjoying all the research that I am doing for the talks that I will be doing monthly to support the project. So I'm having a blast, and I think I've got to do a bit more sending invoices for my sewing school, and then I'll be teaching tonight. So yeah, it's all go but wonderful. I love being in my creative world and the world that I'm creating that I can share with you. It's just utterly marvellous. Who'd have known how good it could have been? So until next time, please subscribe, comment, like and share. It's a joy being with you here. So goodbye.